Today's August 18th, 2025. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning, and you just have to mark this entry in my journal because it is. I'm starting this day with a new enlightenment that I need to I need to go ahead and document. You know, for myself, because I'm hoping that I can actually someday look back upon today and remember how this unfolded before me, and there's learning and my self-education and my progress, which includes a sense of humility and I have a small hope that this will reach you, my grandchildren. But because I think it's worthwhile for me to say this, and it actually, this is my journey. It's a work in progress, and so I'm gonna I just have to document, where I am. First of all, in relationship to practicing my guitar. Well, when I was fasting, I let myself not practice. Okay, and I tell you the truth, even though I started, my headless chicken campaign, well, I've taken a break from it. I gave myself permission to take a break because, not eating, as I didn't eat for, at least 20 days. I don't know. There came a time when I kind of just gave myself permission to not work so hard, I guess. Practicing the guitar is enjoyable for me, but it is also work. And look, when you're not eating, you lose some energy, and I can't explain it all. I think it's a fault in humanity by design. But look, I don't mean that I quit doing everything, okay? Like, I didn't quit thinking, and I didn't quit learning. And one of the things that I've learned a little bit more about is hope. Because I still hope that I'm going to be good at playing the guitar someday, and so that I can write some stuff for my dogs, just like my original motivation and inspiration and vision is prodding me on to do. And that line in the book of Thomas, it says that if you what you bring forth from within will save you, but what you fail to bring forth from within will destroy you. Okay. Well, okay. When that first kind of hit me, I took it to heart, and I was almost scared, like, not to practice my guitar, for fear that I would cut my own lifeline, so to speak, if I didn't, follow my desire, follow my bliss, follow my dream. But I'm a little bit more tempered now, and I realize that that's probably not a strict, hard, fast rule, but it's just still just as true as ever. See, you have to hold things, in balance. And yeah. But it's been raining out a lot, and there's a lot of mosquitoes out, and I got one fan behind me running down at my feet because there's mosquitoes flying around here. And that's why I have to have fans running. They can't land on me as easy. But, and I don't use air conditioning. It's too expensive. Okay, well, that's probably a good place for me to actually really go into what I really have on my mind. Because, I have to be conscious about money. And, I have to be conservative regarding money. Because I only have so much. My electric bill can get very, very high, and I can't like leave my doors shut and everything, like my dogs. So I just use fans, and it gets really hot. I suffer in the heat, in the heat. But look, that being said, what I've been experiencing lately is a lot of anger by Donald Trump, and I've been thinking about putting a sign up in my yard, and I've tossed a lot of ideas around. And a lot of them have been out of anger, and I hear people say certain things, and they're succinct and poignant and powerful, pithy statements. Like, for example, I heard Lawrence O'Donnell say, do a broadcast. He tends to do broadcasts that are topical, and so this one was, he makes the line, if Donald Trump were, to go into full-blown dementia, how would we know? Because everything he says is just incoherent in one way or the other. Yet, some people will still vote for him. But I heard okay, and so the things that are make me angry, is, for example, what he calls the big beautiful bill, all right, and he's placed tariffs, which are taxes on everything that's imported into America, and we import a lot. We import a lot that we need. We don't manufacture in America everything we need. All right. Coffee, for example, a lot of coffee comes from Brazil. Most of the coffee comes from Brazil, and he put a 50% tariff on Brazil, and basically he even says outright, it's because he don't like the way Brazil treated their president, their ex-president, Bolsonaro. And now they have a fellow in there well, he goes by Lulu. I don't think that's his real name, but that's what he goes by. And so Trump is, he's complaining about how they treated Bolsonaro because Bolsonaro was an autocrat just like Trump is. And, Trump seems to like and gravitate toward all the dictators, like in Saudi Arabia. And, okay, Adam Schiff from the House of Representatives, I listened to him yesterday or the day before talking about the 10 things that Donald Trump has done that are, not just outrageous, but criminal. Okay? I'm not going to actually, recite them or nothing like that. I didn't write them all down anyway. I can remember some of them, and probably could remember all of them, but it would take me a while because he's done so much stuff. And it makes me angry. And then they also had on there another fella. I think he's I haven't kept up with everything until recently. I've been revisiting a lot of stuff, a lot of societal kind of economical and political news and everything. Because when I lost my electricity and everything, I just quit. I mean, this is where I get on the radio. All right, but I didn't watch any. I haven't watched cable news for a long time. Now I'm seeing stuff on YouTube, and it's more of a channel for me. But I'm getting. But okay, what I've realized is that I learned recently, is that Donald Trump is a convicted rapist. I mean, he had to pay this lady named Jane Carroll or something like that. Like, I don't know, $4 million or something. She sued him and she won because he raped her. He's a rapist, and he's covering up the biggest pedophile sex trafficking ring in American history. It's been disclosed. He's covering it all up, and he's taken he's put like his personal lawyer for his crimes that he's committed. All right, his personal, his most recent personal lawyer, I guess. He made him the assistant to the DOJ, which is the Department of Justice attorney, Pam Bondi. Okay, and Pam Bondi is doing his bidding. All right. Thing is, you don't even have to be a lawyer to be the chief lawyer, the chief attorney, like Pam Bondi is, the attorney general. I mean, this is amazing. You don't even actually have to be a lawyer to have that job. And she only has a job because she's loyal to Donald Trump and does his bidding. And there's so many people. He just he fires everybody that says anything negative against him or something like that. He gets rid of them. He fires them. Okay? From the big down to the small. He's, as my buddy Tim said, he's wiping his ass with the Constitution of the United States. All right? The checks and balances aren't what they used to be. He's violating all the norms. Okay, he makes me angry. But, okay, so I think I make that a point now good enough. At least good enough for my own recollection. You know? Now, I drank a lot of Mountain Dew yesterday, and you know, I've in my angst and in my I guess nervous anxiety or something about societal ills and everything, particularly regarding Donald Trump. You know, look, I bought a pack of cigarettes. That was a mistake. I made a lot of mistakes in my life. You know, I can honestly say that I've never been addicted to anything in my life except for cigarettes. And I knew I should not have bought those cigarettes. But I just like when I quit practicing my guitar, you know, I just said to myself, I just gave myself permission. Because, look, I know that I can quit because I have, you know, self-mastery. I can at least proudly state that I have self-mastery. And if I decide to do something, I can do it. And I will do it. But, yeah, so, tell you the truth, you know, I'm on my, this is my fourth pack. Yeah, and I can already feel it in my lungs, you know, like congestion or whatever, you know, kind of feeling like asthmatic or something, you know. It's not healthy for me. Just like eating the fat. When I was eating all that fat, when I'm making some, you know, soup, and I put the hamburger in there without draining the grease, and I was eating it like that, and before I knew it, I gained like 5 pounds around my belly, and that's why I had to go on my fast. And it was hard losing that extra 5 pounds. I mean, I went for days and I didn't even lose any weight at all. I documented that. Although on the TV I see they got this, they're advertising some military thing, you know, you can like, you know, put it on your belly or something like that, you know, it shoots electricity and it makes your muscles like move and everything, and it burns the fat off your belly. I don't know. If I wasn't so tight on money, I'd probably just go ahead and buy it. There's a few things I probably after I get other things situated, you know. Well, look, it's not like I'm really too fat or anything. But anyway, so look, I gotta see. I just, you know, keeping some notes and everything. Different things, you know, that I might want to put on my sign, but I waffle back and forth because sometimes I think it might not be prudent for me to do that because I have real fear. Because I know, you know, it's like this. There's a saying I heard this guy say on this commercial about this animal sanctuary and stuff, you know. He's a vegan, and I was listening to it, and somewhere along the line he said, made a statement, don't tell me, I don't want to know. And that is kind of the position that is easy for people to take, you know. Don't tell me, I don't want to know, because people want to keep doing what they're doing and just let it slide, and they don't want to know because they don't want to change. Okay, people don't want to know about how animals are mistreated. brutally and slaughtered, and how they suffer like they're not, like they have no feelings. People don't want to know, because people want to go to the grocery store without having their conscience bothering them about participating in the industry of cruelty to animals. And I mean, you're talking about, it's cultural. A lot of it is cultural. I mean, if you go to, I'm pretty sure it's India, they don't eat cows. And the guy was talking about cows. He said, people that are emotionally distraught and everything, if they go lay down next to a cow or be by a cow for a while, he said you'd be surprised the somatic connection the cow will feel your pain and everything like that. And some places, they'll kill cats and dogs. Like I think China, I think they kill cats and dogs in China. I'm just looking at Boomer because something landed on him. Hey, Boomer. That was whoops, whatever that was. I got it. Yeah, Boomer down there. But and so anyway, look, a lot of stuff is cultural, and we need to be educated, and so I've been self-educating myself, and so I said, I drank I drank like a whole liter of Mountain Dew yesterday, and I fill up my big cup, which is kind of a cooler. I can fill it up 3 times with a whole liter of Mountain Dew, and I went through 3 of them. Yes, I went through the whole bottle. Well, I haven't been drinking caffeine. I haven't really been drinking much coffee. Well, I take that back. I mean, I did also buy some cold coffee. I've been drinking that. But anyway, I like caffeine because, it picks me up a little bit, But anyways, sometimes, and then with the cigarettes, I don't know. I had a harder time sleeping. And I've been doing yard work, and so it's been making my back sore. So haven't been drinking beer because I've been taking ibuprofen, and the ibuprofen does help me, helps my back feel better. But look, so anyway, I'm watching this stuff, and that's one thing he said, don't tell me, I don't want to know. Another statement that came out in a commercial, like after, that I heard, not less than an hour ago. Or an hour ago or so. It says, pick your fight, or choose your fight. And see, that's where I'm at right now. I sometimes I want to make a sign. I want to put some stuff on there. Like I was saying, like some of the stuff I wrote down. Like I listened to Bernie Sanders giving a speech out in Charlotte. I don't know if he was in West Virginia or Charlotte, North Carolina. I can't remember. But anyway, it was one of the two. And look, some things he's talking about. I just made a note. He was talking about the systems of this certain system. Well, no, that was from someone else. Okay. Bernie Sanders. He is talking. He's saying stop the fight oligarchy. Okay, and that's what I have been saying, is that America is not really ruled as much by Republicans and Democrats as it is by oligarchical or by oligarchy. And so he's pointing out, okay, that in this big beautiful bill of Trump's, you know, he's taking $1 trillion in tax breaks for the top 1%. Okay, $1 trillion for the top 1%. And if you broke $1 trillion down and dispersed it to the other, I don't know really, I can't remember what the population in the United States is, but to the rest of the, you know, 99%, or well, it don't matter, 99% or 97%. Like the top 3% are in a category, but there is also a top 1%. Like Jeff Bezos from Amazon, Elon Musk. I think Elon Musk is now like the richest person because he has Tesla and SpaceX. Okay, and that's what Adam Schiff was talking about Trump. I mean, Trump went through a lot of bankruptcy and stuff. He was a big blowbagger, right? But after he got into office, then he started really making money. Okay, so him having to pay like $4 million or whatever for his rape conviction against this lady, that's really a drop in the bucket because he's making like $1 million every day. He started this cryptocurrency, you know, it's like kind of like a Ponzi scheme, and people are buying into it, and he's making a lot of money off it. Him and his kids. But anyway, so Bernie Sanders, you know, he's fighting against oligarchy, and his whole thing is, fight oligarchy. And so $1 trillion to the top 1% in Trump's big beautiful bill. $1 trillion, okay, $900 billion to the profiting large corporations. $900 billion in tax relief from big corporations. And these big corporations are what they contribute money to people's campaigns that they want in office. Okay, mostly the Republicans, you know, do the bidding for the large corporations because they believe in trickle-down economics. All the money at the top, it trickles down. 15 million. He's taken 15 million away from Medicaid, which old people like me, you know, I'm not on Medicaid because I don't want to be on Medicaid because I'm a veteran. If I got something wrong, I'll just go to the VA hospital. But he's also defunding the VA hospitals. Okay, he's defunding public television. He's defunding public radio. He's trying to revamp all the museums and everything to make it reflect what he likes. He's a white supremacist, you know. He's making all the universities and stuff like that. He's depriving them of money, their grants and everything, unless they comply to what he wants them to say. He's defunded the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. In fact, he might have just completely obliterated it. I don't know. Protections, like Obama put protections, consumer protections. He's doing away with that. He's doing away with the tax breaks if you're like put some solar panels on your roof or something like that, and you gotta buy the solar panels. You know, you can get a tax break off that. Or at least under Biden, you could. You know, he did away with that. Look, he pulled us out of the climate accord agreement or whatever you call it. You know, like all the other nations, everybody realizes scientifically it's proven that our gas emissions from, you know, burning gas in cars and all that stuff. You know, even slaughtering, even you know, cows. You know, methane all that stuff. I mean, they got it all broke down scientifically, and he don't believe it. So, and anyway, he's the technology of today. You know, we have more efficient ways of producing energy, and he wants to keep burning coal and keep burning gas and keep digging oil out of the ground and all that kind of stuff and burning oil. Okay, so 15 million off Medicaid, and he's raising interest rates, and doubling the student loan payments. he's making she's shifting, you know, the whole like wealth of America into the top few, and everybody else has to pay for it. And these people at the top, like the top 1%, the top 3%, they got so much money. I mean, like I might, be concerned about spending $10. Well, at their level, their only concern is, misspending $1 million because they got billions. Imagine that, billions. Okay, all right. I gotta speed it up because I'm at 31 minutes. Okay, so I just wrote something like this one. Okay, like I'm just thinking the disillusioned, disaffected, forgotten man and woman. Okay, because that's what we are, and we need collective action. Okay, systems. I think this comes from Richard Wolff. Systems, capitalism, inequality, state violence, because he's sending ICE agents in, and it's disgusting. He's taking. There's a boy walking his dog. He stayed longer than his visa allowed him, and he's in high school. They snatched him up, let his dog run away, so and cut the dog away from him, cut his leash off, because he was like scared to a tree when they were grabbing this guy, this kid. They cut him away from the tree so he'd get hit by a car. They're gassing people. They're using tear gas. They're shooting bullets from buildings like snipers. The ICE agents are doing all this. State violence. He's coming after all the Democrats, putting the Proud Boys, making ICE agents out of Proud Boys, because he pardoned like 16,000 rioters that stormed the White House. And now, he's so crazy, he's talking about putting missiles on top of the White House. And corporate control, okay? This is, and media manipulation. I don't know if this came from Bernie Sanders or Richard Wolff. I don't know. I can't remember. But these are just minor notes, okay? But I get so infuriated, but I also know that my phone, is being logged. I mean, every message that I send out, everything that I look up, everything that I do online, whatever, my TV, my phone, like I know the government, is behind all this bullshit. Some people don't want to believe it, but I know it. I know it from good source. I mean, 10 years ago, that Snowden guy, I think he's still like in Russia or something, because he can't come back to the United States, otherwise he'll go to jail. Well, there's been a bunch of them, man. Look, the NSA has got a record of everything that we do. Yeah, and they got ticker files, and if you say something, you get on their radar. And if push comes to shove, they're going to go after. Like if I'm vocal against Donald Trump, if Donald Trump stays in office for a third term, I guarantee things are going to be a lot worse. And it would not be a far-fetched idea to say that they're going to come after like me and persecute me, because that's what they do. They take people, they bring accusations against them, and the people can't afford to defend themselves in court or anything like that. They ruin their lives. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. And this is the process of authoritarian. It happens all around the world. And the technology is such today that it's very easy for them to know everything that's going on. The people in power. And when they're unjust and do dastardly evil things like Trump, all right, that's what you can expect. And they will use the full resources of, for example, the FBI, the NSA, all that, the CIA. Well, look, I got to come to the point here. So right now, all right. So as I couldn't sleep, I was listening to, because it just came on, all right? Like I didn't like, it must be an algorithm or something, but I'm glad it came on, because I was educated. I was educated about the, the liberal, the liberal mechanisms, or the liberal mindset, in economics and politics and stuff. The nationalistic engine. Okay, you got liberalism, nationalism, and realism. Okay, I don't know what this one here is about, but it come from the Eurasia podcast, and that's this guy Glenn Deason is the interviewer, and I was listening to a corporal, Colonel McNamara or something like that, I think his name was. I listened to him, and then this other guy came on. I couldn't really sleep, And the other guy's name is his name is John Mearsheimer, and so Professor Glenn Deason. That's Mearsheimer. He's the one that was talking about it, and he made the point about Madeleine Albright, for example. She, in his assessment, is a liberal nationalist, and so he's saying because she made the statement that we Americans, or America, is supposed to be able to is a nation that stands higher and sees farther. And that's exactly what I've said in previous talk to you, my grandchildren. Stand taller and see farther. Stand on your mom or dad's shoulders, whatever, like we do. And through your own education, stand taller and see farther. Okay, I believe that. But he's saying, but see what it is with what they call liberalism. It's they're trying to make everybody like democratic, and China is not democratic. China is authoritarian. Okay, but he discusses these things, and obviously, since I'm almost going on 40 minutes now, I can't go into it. I'm just going to say that realism is actually, according to what this guy was talking about, this Mearsheimer guy, or whatever, the guy that I just showed the picture of. He's a professor. What he's saying is, like, NATO would have never been expanded into Ukraine if America would have taken more of a realistic position as opposed to a liberal nationalistic position. Okay, so look, hitting 40 minutes now, so I have to cut this one off. But you know, the thing is, we can't try to make other people like us. Right? And that's what the CIA has done. That's why America's got a very bad name on the world stage. And so, see, I got to pick my fight. Like I'm going to put a sign up, but I'm not sure that I want to stand. I think I'm going to not just say like Donald Trump is a racist. He's a racist and a rapist, and he's been convicted of fraud, rape, and now when he met Putin, he's just sucking right up to Putin. Okay? And Putin is a war criminal. But I mean, I can't go into all the politics about everything. But it's our fault because, you know, we wanted to put missiles in Ukraine against Russia. And, you know, Russia ain't gonna cave. I gotta stop now. So this is a sufficient note. All right, bye.